Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the grand finale of TCS iON IntelliGem 2022. Before we begin, may I please request and welcome Ms. Shalini Gopal Krishnan, Head TCS iON IntelliGem, to set the ball rolling.
Happy New Year and a warm welcome to one and all to the national grand finale of the 4th edition of TCS iON IntelliGem. I take great pleasure today in greeting all the students, parents, educators, friends and families who have gathered, of course safely from their homes, to cheer and support the finalists of TCS iON IntelliGem. Hearty congratulations to all our finalists. Since its inception in 2018, IntelliGem has evolved into a meticulously and beautifully structured contest designed to inculcate the much needed 21st century skills mindset in our younger generation. That would be the pillars of the future. The topics, the rounds, the evaluation have been diligently put together by a team of experts. The journey of the student from the day they register with us, navigating through the various rounds, is as exciting for them as it is for us. The fun-filled learning experience in the IntelliGem student community has been immensely enriching, as echoed by the students themselves. Even though every student may not reach the pre-final and final stages of the contest, we have tried to make sure that they take back with them a very rich learning experience. And that is what IntelliGem stands for. Every child is a gem. At TCS, we are proud that TCS iON IntelliGem is the only largest national level contest on the 21st century skills in India, with a focus to nurture the nation builders of tomorrow. And we are thankful to all the schools and educators who have made this wonderful journey possible for us by extending their support and guidance at every stage. So without much ado, I would hand over the mic to the host and let the finale begin. All the very best to our finalists. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to once again welcome you to the grand finale of the 4th edition of TCS iON IntelliGem, an innovative national contest to unearth the gems of tomorrow. We are gathered here for the finale of Communication Skills category, senior level competition, brought to you by TCS iON in partnership with STEP from the Hindu Group. Let me begin by introducing our most esteemed panel of jury for the day.
Ms. Nitya Lovit is a training manager at the Hindu STEP, where she manages all the training programs. She designs and develops materials for face-to-face training across various levels, develops online resources for teacher development, and has conducted teacher training workshops. She also engages with learners through webinars, one-to-one coaching, and in large classrooms. Previously, she worked with Teach for India as a full-time teacher to children in an under-resourced school for 2 years. Through this experience of teaching in classrooms and working with key education stakeholders like students, principals, and parents, she has an understanding of the grassroots realities of India's education system. Prior to this, she also has over 4 years of experience as a software engineer. She holds a degree in electronics and communication engineering from Anna University. Ms. Tara Mohan is the assistant content editor at STEP from the Hindu Group. She completed her Masters in English Literature at English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, and worked as a teacher for 5 years. She has experience handling different kinds of curricula like IB, ICSE, and CBSE. She has also completed CELTA certification. Currently, she creates English language teaching and learning content for STEP and is also involved in teacher training projects offered by STEP. Ms. Shailja Ramesh is a content manager at STEP. An avid reader, her passion for English led her on a path which took her all the way after graduating with a master's degree from the Etihad College for Women to the National University of Singapore, where she pursued a doctoral degree in English literature. Her stint in Singapore also opened up the world of education and pedagogy for her. Having worked at Cambridge Assessment English, she brings a rich insight into the needs of English learners in India. And now, for our most important guests, our finalists. They have successfully made it to the grand finale after proving their mettle in 3 challenging rounds. Please put your hands together to wish them luck for the grand finale. Welcome, Sarang LV from Bhavan Vidya Mandir, Elamakara, Ernakulam. Reema Shyam from Shishu Viha Junior and Senior School, Bangalore Urban. Prateek M from Padma Seshadri Balabhavan Senior Secondary School, KK Nagar, Chennai. Siddharth Kumar Gopal from St. Thomas Residential School, Thiruvananthapuram. Vedant Santosh Shinde from Presidency School, RT Nagar, Bangalore Urban. Anisha Pai from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban. It's finally time to begin. Get ready for part 1, vlog. Participants were asked to create an innovative 1-minute introductory video which they sent in earlier. Let's have a look at our first candidate's vlog. Candidate 1. Sarang LV from Bhavan Vidya Mandir, Elamakara, Ernakulam.
I love music. Namaste. I am Sarang LV, a 7th grader at Bhavan Vidya Mandir, Elamakara. I live in Ernakulam district of Kerala. I travel different worlds while still at home. How? My favorite hobby is reading. I enjoy classical and fantasy books, and I am currently reading the sacred Puranas. My passions are game development and programming. My ambition is to become a teacher or a vet as I am a nature lover. My parents and teachers provide me constant support in all my endeavors. My father is an advocate and my mother is a housewife. I am very lucky to be on this stage and I am thankful to TCS for giving me the opportunity. All the best to all my fellow participants. Thank you.
Thank you for that interesting vlog. Candidate 2, Reema Shyam from Shishu Viha Senior, Junior and Senior Secondary School, Bangalore Urban.
Hello everyone, I am Reema. I have been named after the goddess Durga, who is depicted as the warrior goddess. And in many ways, my personality is similar to hers. I was raised in a secular family, as my parents belong to 2 different faiths. I am fortunate to experience the best of both religions and their cultures. Determination and optimism are my main strengths, while my weakness has always been food, as I can gorge on almost anything. I consider myself to be a glass half full kind of person. Music has always been my passion. I play the guitar, which helps me de-stress and unwind myself. Writing the lyrics to my own songs and playing it on the guitar gives me immense satisfaction. I have also participated and won a number of inter-school music competitions. I have also attended several Model UN sessions, where I had the opportunity to interact with students from different schools. I enjoy taking up ASET and Olympiad tests, and I am proud to say that I have topped the South Zone in the English Olympiad conducted last year. Taking up new challenges excites me the most, and I look forward to participating in more such competitions and events. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Now moving on to the next candidate, Prateek M from Padma Seshadri Balabhavan.
Greetings. Who am I? This is a philosophical question mankind has struggled to answer. I find myself heading down the same path. But before I get into an existential crisis, let me try to tell you something about myself. My goal in life is to help as many people as I can and make the world a better place. My passion is computers. I can even sit for prolonged hours if required. I've even helped a non-profit organization build their website. I'm also a bookworm. I'm a great fan of novels, with my favorite ones being Harry Potter and The Lord of the Rings. I'm also a problem solver and would like to put my skills into action to help other people. I'm also interested in quizzing and debating. I've conducted both these activities in my local neighborhood. So, who am I? A person who can contribute to society in a major way, or just another ordinary person without any contributions? I am Pratik, believe it's the former, but only time shall tell. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing yourself, Pratik. Now moving on to the next candidate, Siddharth Kumar Gopal from St. Thomas Residential School, Thiruvananthapuram.
Hi everyone, I'm Siddharth Kumar Gopal, a grade 8 student of St. Thomas Residential School. I live in the scenic coastal town of Thiruvananthapuram in God's own country, Kerala. Did you know that the size of the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19 is about 120 nanometers, and that you need a cluster of about 6,40,000 of them to be able to see them as even a tiny speck? These and other scientific facts interest me, and my left brain loves to find scientific solutions to real-world problems. My right brain believes that several real-world problems can be solved if we are honest in our communication and if we are willing to listen to the other side's arguments with an open mind. I love to travel, which I believe is the best way to know about other cultures, meet new friends, and try out various cuisines. Music helps me relax, and I'm genre agnostic when it comes to music and books. Thank you.
That was an interesting blog and an interesting introduction. Thank you for that, Siddharth. Now moving on to the next candidate, Vedant Santosh Shinde from Presidency School, RT Nagar, Bangalore Urban.
Hey there, I'm Vedant Shinde and I love talking. No, quite literally, I do. Now, I have tried to educate myself on pretty much every topic under the sun, and that is why I'm here. My method of self-education is simplicity in itself, observation. Observation, as Mr. Sherlock Holmes puts it, is the greatest form of self-education. Now, how do I know that? It is because I read it in a book, just like the many others I've read. My school, Presidency School RT Nagar, is my playground where I can experiment all that I read. What better way to showcase all the knowledge that reading gives me rather than quizzing? Indeed, I am a national level quizzer as well. A fun fact, did you know that R.K. Naran's Malgudi, the Malgudi that forms an integral part of all adults' childhood, is actually a portmanteau for two localities in Bangalore, Malleshwaram and Basavangudi. Scratch that. Observe many problems in the world around me. Coding helps me solve many of them. Now, if you have been observing this clip rather than just watching, how much have you learned about me?
Thank you for the wonderful vlog. Now moving on to the next candidate, Anisha Pai from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban.
He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. This quote by Avicii to me is possibly the most beautiful thought ever. Hi, I'm Anisha and I'm a 14-year-old Bangalorean. I love listening to all kinds of music and I play the piano as well. This card, which my best friend gave me for my birthday, perfectly depicts the things I'm most passionate about. Books are my constant companions, and my love for the outdoors led me to basketball and traveling. The 2020 lockdown allowed me to discover aspects of myself that I never even knew existed. I took up debating, something which the shy 12-year-old Anisha would probably never have expected. I also started a blog with two of my friends. Blogging helped me discover the power of words. Our whole world is built upon our ability to communicate effectively. I am really excited for the grand finale and best of luck to my fellow competitors.
Now let's move on to part 2, group discussion. You will have 10 minutes for this round. The topic will be revealed now, and here it is. Measures to promote gender equality in society. discuss and come up with at least 3 measures as a group. The time limit for this event is 10 minutes.
Gender equality is something that is certainly needed in these modern times. So, now that we know what else, what do you guys have to suggest? And I would really like to hear from the elders present here too.
Thank you, Sarang. I would like to continue on what you started. So, our society is not equal with respect to gender. This is a fact. We cannot deny it. So, what can we do to improve? As a boy, I feel that many of my peers are being treated equally as me. But this is not the case everywhere. My peers have been fortunate. Throughout India, we have rural girls struggling. Our focus must first be on rural girls. They are the ones with the at the most disadvantaged position. We must help them as much as possible. The government has introduced lots of measures, but we, as students, as responsible students of India, and as responsible citizens, must play our part. There is no other tool better suited for this purpose than knowledge. We must try to educate and spread awareness on this topic. Posters and campaigns are excellent tools for this. I believe that the posters, campaigns, and educating people is the best way to promote gender equality.
Compared to how it used to be in the olden times, I personally feel that it's the situation of women, the position of women in our society today has improved a lot. So I agree with what you said about the campaigns and the posters. I also feel that we should have more educational programs for women and female children in villages and towns and cities in general, because often we don't recognize certain sectors of the society that don't get adequate education, not just females, but compared to males, females don't get as much education, and we need to fix that. So, educational programs and, like you said, campaigns and posters can be extremely helpful. We need to put aside a section of the economy to promote this and make sure more females and women are completing their education.
So I would, yeah, you can go on.
Okay, thank you. So I second you, Rima, on what you said. So according to me, equality isn't exactly removing reservations from bus so that women don't have a separate section. No, because that exists for a reason, for the safety of women. But instead, I think that safety, no, I mean gender equality, can be more widespread, especially when we take on campaigns such as Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, or preventing female infanticide. The problem is that the government can only have so much reach, especially in rural areas where the governing bodies such as the Sarpanch or the Gram Panchayat itself are very rigid on applying these schemes or spreading these messages. So in such places, I think that a private group formed voluntarily of educated citizens will be able to spread the message well. So mainly these two, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and the female infanticide program, preventing it. These two can be carried out by any third-party organization, especially in the extremely rural parts of our country.
So I would like to contribute to the discussion, but while I agree with all the points that my fellow competitors have said, I would like to approach this topic in a different way. I believe that the first step to promote gender equality is to start from home. How many of the sisters or your mother in the family have received Barbie dolls for their gifts? We need to start giving gender neutral toys, and even fairy tales should be gender neutral. We should not be about the damsel in distress and Prince Charming, but we should rather teach all these people what it means to be that being beautiful, and that not all girls are powerless, and that girls deserve equal opportunities as much as boys from a very young age itself. Coming to the workplace, we should have equal pay for equal work. Instead of looking at girls as a burden and looking at marriage as the end point, we should empower girls to stand on their 2 feet. Imagine a car with 2 wheels running at 2 different speeds. Thus, we should give them equal representation in policy making. Can you believe that the committee that looks at raising marriageable age has only one woman? We should stop having manels, panels with only men. Instead, let us give equal representation for women in all panels and policy making forums. I also believe that instead of only women speaking up for their rights, men should also stand up for women's rights. And that men can play an equally important role in giving representation and promoting gender equality. Thank you.
I completely agree with what my peer said, especially what Siddharth said, the fact that we have to start at home and implement a gender equal thing, because at the end, gender equality is not about our actions, but what our principles are and what our beliefs are. You can always introduce reservations for women, one third in the Lok Sabha, but all this doesn't make a difference if people themselves are unwilling to accept the fact that women are as strong as men, are as powerful men as men, and are as capable as men. So some of the most one of the most widespread reasons for the um, for the okay one of the most reasons that women are not considered as capable as men is because women do not have as many programs to develop their skills, especially in the rural areas and other disadvantaged communities. So, to remedy this, we must come up with organizations that hit at these very vulnerable populations. For example, Girl Code is an organization that was started by university graduates to help equip girls with coding skills in a world uh, that is rapidly uh, digitalizing. And yeah, thank you.
So I feel that an important point is that I agree with all of my peers and what they said. So we should also encourage women into non-traditional vocations. So supporting women into non-traditional jobs is crucial and not only making long-lasting change in their lives but also help break social taboos. Then working together is also a very important point that I remember one of my peers bringing up. So, did you know that between 1999 and 2010, the ratio of girls in secondary school fell from 83 to 82 girls for every 100 boys at the secondary level, and from 67 to 63 girls for every 100 boys at the tertiary level? This is stalled progress and the reversion to the deep gender inequalities that characterized previous eras. So, we need to make sure that apart from this at schools, we should also make up at workplaces. We need to make sure that women have equal pay and equal work shares, which is also equally as important as equal pay. We need to pass a bill that ensures this, as well as strict restriction and absolutely just absolutely abolishing this abusing at home, because a lot of due to the current lockdowns that we have due to COVID, a lot of women have been suffering deep abuse because of their male partners, or even in general a lot of harassment, and we need to absolutely abolish that, pass a proper bill that we can follow.
Alright, so
Yeah,
you can go ahead.
thanks. So what I mean is that we should stop promoting gender stereotypes from a young age, because we unknowingly start stereotyping people even from a young age. As even in school textbook, we depict nurses as women and doctors as men. Even when we write a composition on family at younger ages, we say that the father is the head of the family and the mother cooks yummy food and cleans your clothes and all the other chores. Let us change all these stereotypes. Let us change the stories and the narratives. Let us improve women's representations in every area of society. And as Vedant said, let us ensure that girls are educated and self sufficient. And yes, we have the rules in place against dowry and harassment, but let us ensure that these are implemented effectively. And for that,
Participants, you have only a minute left to wrap up this discussion.
so I'll conclude my point by saying that we should effectively change our mindset to acknowledge that women have as much capability as men, and that's when India will achieve true progress.
And concluding my, since we need three measures, how about one should be yes, like Siddharth said, and another one should be passing a bill that abolishes domestic violence of any kind, and also we need to have more programs for women and children to complete their education, because most married women don't complete their education.
And I would also like to add one more point.
Yeah, okay.
Can I go ahead? Yeah, thank you. So another point is that we are only considering two genders right now, and there are actually in truth many more genders. So I think the first step should be legalizing these genders and treating them equally, not only before the law, but they should be treated equally by the people. They should not be treated as if they are different, but they should be treated as if they are an integral part of society. And
Thank you, Vedant. The time is up for this discussion.
Thank you, participants. Those were some insightful comments that really understood and acknowledged the multiplicity and the complexity of our society, and which also analyzed the cause and effect nature of the topic that we are discussing. After the thought-provoking session, we move on to part 3. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Each participant will be shown 3 unconnected pictures. Using these, you have to create a story. You will have 1 minute to think and up to 3 minutes to tell the story. Let's begin then. Sarang LV, here are your pictures.
Sarang, are you ready? Your 3 minutes start now.
There once was a wealthy entrepreneur. He spent his whole life working hard, and when he retired, he had a lot of money. He did all this because he had just one wish. He wanted to end hunger, at least in his state. So, when that wealthy individual was about to die, he proposed that to those people who agree to provide food to the poor people or the rural area people who can't find enough, he would give up all his wealth to them. Many people showed up, and the wealthy man just selected a few of them. A lot of months passed with them holding brainstorming sessions and coming up with ideas to fill that wealthy man's want. He was very satisfied, and finally he went to the eternal abode of the gods. His son actually had doubts on these people, so he decided to check the true facts for themselves. When he disguised himself and went to their compounds, he literally saw they had new cars, new light bulbs, new everything. This made him understand that something was off. He decided to take a tour through the state, visiting each and every rural locality he could find to find out whether they had implemented his father's last wish or not. Then began his journey. What he saw astounded him. None of the rural localities had enough food. Some of them were even eating electrical appliances. None of those places he could see people with prosperity. They were hungry and they were even eating the waste that the urban and civilized people were throwing out. This led him to understand that those entrepreneurs that supported his father were actually liars. He went straight to that entrepreneur's place, and they were astounded to see him. They acted quickly and they picked up their weapons and they attacked.
Thank you, Sarang. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarang, for that intelligent and well thought out story. Now moving on to the next candidate, Reema Shyam. Here are your pictures.
Reema, are you ready? Your 3 minutes start now.
A long time ago, in a different parallel universe, there was a planet where there was absolutely no color, everything black and white. You may think it sounds bland, but to everyone living there, it was a normal lifestyle. So one of the citizens of this planet, his name was John. He was quite tired of this black and white life. He felt something was missing, something that he couldn't yet see. So he searched far and wide, trying to find that missing piece of his life. Then suddenly one day, he was with a ladder. He was trying to fix his roof. This ladder seemed to be unusually long though. So he climbed the ladder, and as he was on the top fixing his roof, he noticed something unusual in the sky. A kind of warp hole. So naturally, being the curious cat he is, reached up into the sky and got sucked straight into the warp hole. A few minutes later, he dropped down onto a land filled with colors. He was confused and shocked and happy. This was the missing piece. This was what he needed in his life. And then he looked around and he loved it, but how could he get this back to where he lived? His planet was his home. He wanted this back where he lived. So he went to a famous scientist, explained his situation, and through years of working and hard work, they finally realized a solution. So John got walked back into the warp hole, back home, and then did as the scientist told him. And then, boom, lightning struck the planet. Everyone was shocked. What's happening? And then, yes, you guessed it, colors started appearing. The world was so confused. Was this the missing piece? Was this what they had been craving for all along? Was this why their life was so bland this whole time? They had found the missing piece. And modern day people don't realize that there's always a missing piece in your life. You just have to set out and find it. Find that one thing that can complete you. John had found it. His people had found it. And like he had taken help from the scientists, we can take help from others to find that missing piece. If you search for your own happiness, you won't find it. But when you search for someone else's, for your country's happiness, you can find it. Just as Jonas did.
Thank you, Rima.
Thank you, Rima, for that interesting story that all of us can relate to and understand on a personal level. Now moving on to the next candidate, Prateek M. Here are your pictures.
Pradeep, are you ready? Your 3 minutes start now.
Yes, ma'am. May I start? On the island of Crete, just off the shore of Greece, there were a few little boys playing. They played to their heart's content. Cricket, football, hockey, any sport, you name it, they played it. They did it for fun. And one day, one of them broke a window. Just like any other child, any other child in any other place, they panicked. They panicked and they found a small piece of paper, a crumpled piece of paper lying. They saw a note. It was a note. It was a note from the owner of the window. It said, "Why did you break my window?" They were shocked. They had just broken the window. They did not know what to do. They were dumbstruck. The note also said them to enter. They entered, though they were not safe. They were very scared. They were frightened. And as they entered, they found a library. This library was guarded by the ancient monster of Crete, the pet of the legendary king Minos. They had to defeat it to access the secret manuscripts. These manuscripts held the answer to the universe. They had discovered it. They just had one thing that was stopping them. This monster was something that they had never ever seen before. It was a beast from the future, the smartest being on earth. Because it was artificial intelligence. This being was from the future, as they realized. Soon they devised something to counter it. One of the smartest boys there went straight ahead and asked it a question.
What is the meaning of life? The computer started thinking. The beast started thinking. The beast was thinking for a long time. The boys used this to quickly diffuse the circuit of the beast and quickly disarmed it and made it into pieces. Here they found a chip. This chip was something from the future. This was a deadly weapon. This was far dangerous than nuclear weapons. This was a weapon of mass destruction. They needed to somehow save the world from this. So then they decided to throw it into the water. But this was not safe. They wanted to destroy it forever. But then they decided to consult the library the very beast was guarding.
Thank you.
That was an interesting spin on the pictures that were given to you. Thank you for that. Now moving on to the next candidate, Siddharth Kumar Gopal. Here are your pictures.
Siddharth, are you ready? The 3 minutes start now.
Okay, ma'am. John was a small child. He was in about grade 2 or 3 at the time. And he was in love with the colors. No, not the colors that you are thinking, but the colors of his life. All his childhood, he painted everything around him. The landscapes and his friends. Even his dreams were a subject of his canvas. He was such a vibrant person that anybody who came near him was filled with joy. His biggest dream was to become like Van Gogh, a painter par excellence. But his parents had other ideas. How will you win your daily bread? Thundered his dad. What will you do with your life? Asked his mother. So he decided to give in. And then his life went in other ways. He planned to get into IIT, he went to coaching classes, board exams, this, that. The pressure started getting to him. Although he had no interest in doing this, he was forced to do this because of the expectations that his parents and society had on him. But giving credits to him, he topped the IIT and went to college, and he graduated with honors at the college too. After that, he took a job, a 9 to 5 job. And then when he looked back at an album of his childhood life, he realized that now the only colors of his life were white and black. His palette of life was all muddied up, and nothing seemed to make sense. He became a slave of the 9 to 5 regime. The tie around his neck often felt like a noose on which he wanted to hang himself. One day, his son came to him with a canvas and asked his father to draw him a picture. And that's when he realized all of this. And then he went back. He quit his job. He finally did what he wanted since the start, to become a painter. And then he rearranged his palette of life too. The story teaches us that we should only do things that we want, and we should always follow our passion. And it's never too late to start again in life. Thank you.
Thank you for that inspirational story, Siddharth. That was truly resonating. Now moving on to the next candidate, Vedant Santosh Shinde. Here are your pictures.
Vedant, your 3 minutes start now.
Jacob was a young boy. He lived in his ancestral home in a far-off village. Living in such a village kept him away from the world. He was a disconnected boy. It was his father's wish that he should see the world, so his father encouraged him to go around and look at the world. He decided to explore. Thus one day, Jacob set off to look at the sights of the world. As he was looking about, he saw wonderful islands, picturesque bridges, and the way of life that many people enjoyed. He wondered why he had stayed in his ancestral village for so long. Nevertheless, he was happy to escape from such a place. Now, he happened to visit India on one such trip. He saw many places, especially the Taj Mahal. Later on, he visited a local fair. It was at this fair that he saw a huge colorful Ferris wheel. Excited, he jumped aboard the Ferris wheel and took a round. When he reached the top, he clicked a few photos that would bear memories. When he returned back to his ancestral home, he started looking through the photos. He realized wispy creatures in the background. This frightened him to no end. He asked his father what it was. His father told him that they were guardians of the village who looked after anyone who stepped out of the village. This did not convince Jacob. He decided to sleep and get away from everything. He thought he would sort this out the following morning. And so he went to sleep. In his sleep, he dreamt about his wonderful travels, but there seemed to be something nagging him constantly. It was those wispy creatures behind him. And suddenly, he dreamt that these wispy creatures, they were not actually guardians. They seemed to be after him. They chased him throughout the world. He kept running and running and running. There seemed to be no end to them. And finally, when he thought that he could take it no more, he woke up, only to find out that he had woken up in his worst nightmare. Thank you.
Thank you, Vedant. That was quite the existential story. That was really interesting, and thank you for sharing it with us. Now, moving on to the next candidate, Anisha Pai. Here are your pictures.
Anisha, your 3 minutes start now.
To all outside eyes, Eva was any normal taxonomist. She seemed to love animals and had a huge collection of books on all kinds of species of animals. But this very chirpy, cheerful, innocent exterior hid a very, very, very evil interior. Eva was in fact a woman who rather enjoyed the sadistic pleasure of hunting animals and stuffing them, somewhat like the evil taxonomist in Paddington. One day she was reading the paper and was ardently looking for any new additions to the London Zoo where she lived. And she was lucky this time. In the column marked New Additions, she saw that the zoo had recently acquired a giraffe, a little baby along with its mother. She saw the perfect opportunity. Although she had a bunch of rare species in her collection, for some reason she had never found a giraffe. So she decided to visit the zoo in order to view the behavior of the giraffe and make some observations on it. She went to the zoo where she was just in time for a show that showcased all the animals' special talents. And there, she sat among the audience and watched the giraffe come onto the stage. The giraffe was simply adorable. He performed all kinds of tricks, and the last one was where he checked his height and marked it off. And for some reason, he seemed like he had a very pleased smile because the zookeeper said that he had grown. Eva's heart melted, but she said, "I have to be strong. This is essential for my collection." So she came back in the night, a lantern in her hand. Fortunately, the zoo had recently switched to CCTV cameras, and Eva was an expert at disabling all of them. She traipsed through the zoo until she came to the giraffe enclosure. And there, she stealthily crept behind where the giraffes were sleeping and raised her rifle. It was then that she saw the giraffe cuddling near its mother, and her heart just simply couldn't bear it. She realized the folly of what she was doing. She was killing an innocent animal, one that was still a child. How would she feel if someone did that to her own children? And from that day on, Eva did become the innocent taxonomist that she seemed, and she dedicated her life to conservation efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. That was an interesting interweaving of the elements that were presented to you. I think it would be an understatement to call the session to have jogged all of our imaginative capabilities. Thank you, participants. Now, are you ready for the final round? Let's begin. Part 4, Block and Tackle. This round will test your debating capabilities even further. Participants will be invited forward one by one. As they speak, the judges will alternate between the commands of block and tackle. You will need to deliver 4 arguments when the judge says tackle and deliver against arguments when the judge says block. The topic was already shared with you and will be shown on screen as you speak. Saran LV from Bhavan Sudhyamandir, Elamakara, Ernakulam. Your topic was photo sharing apps like Instagram and Snapchat should be banned.
Hi Saran, you can start with tackle.
Okay, ma'am. Photo sharing apps like Instagram and Snapchat should be banned. Peer pressure is something that we all fall prey to, and the same goes for the newfangled trend of photo sharing apps. Seeing almost everyone around us are users, we too fall into this trap, and apps like Instagram and Snapchat waste our time very efficiently. A lion's share of modern social media are these photo sharing apps, and these apps are proven to cause many negative effects in their users, including depression and anxiety. Sounds good, right? Come on. But fitting in the society is a real challenge nowadays, and these apps are a solution to it. When used correctly, these apps can be used as a media for creative and emotional outlet, a place to express your thoughts and opinions, a place to revive lost connections, and to form new ones. Also, these apps let us keep in touch with our long-distance friends. These apps let them know about our day and let us about theirs. No more friendships broken by distance, everyone. Also, studies have proven that these apps have an enormously positive impact on their users as they are relatively very easy to use, and almost any age group can use them without a problem. To further establish my point that these photo sharing apps must not be banned, let's take a look at some helpful features. 1. Location tags. Apps like Snapchat and Instagram feature location tags. These are tags that let the viewer know where the picture was taken. Nowadays, these tags are misused by predators to pinpoint your location. And believe me, they are not going to use it in any way spreadsheet. And let's take a look at another positively dangerous feature.
Block.
Stories. And did I say positively dangerous? I meant ideal. Stories are videos that disappear after 24 hours. These let us share fun facts, memes, daily memes anyone, and for extroverts, let others know about your name. These further enhance our feeling of being part of a global. But modern users' stories are almost a mini documentary of their lives, where everything from waking up to going nighty-night is being posted.
Thank you, Saran.
Okay.
Thank you, Saran. Those are some well thought out arguments and a nuanced perspective on the matter at hand. Now, moving on to the next candidate, Reema Shyam from Shishu Griha Junior and Senior School, Bangalore Urban. Your topic was peer pressure is more useful than harmful.
Hi Rima, you can start with tackle.
Yes, ma'am. Peer pressure is the process in which individuals within the same group influence others in the group to engage in a pragmatic behavior or activity. Peer pressure is more useful than harmful. This is because peer pressure can help us reflect on our actions and amend our ways to become a better individual. Observing others working hard to achieve their goals can definitely stimulate us to step up our game and strive towards something positive.
Block.
Peer pressure is more harmful than useful. Negative effects of peer pressure can include convincing a friend to skip school, pressuring a friend to drink or try drugs, encouraging a peer to fight a bully or someone.
Tackle.
And recent studies have conveyed that peer pressure has a very big upside to it, and that in certain circumstances, peer pressure can galvanize an individual to be more focused and determined. However, what everyone misconceives is that in some instances, peer pressure in the right environment can work for the benefit of a child.
Lock.
There might be a particular idea, a habit, or a lifestyle which you personally dislike and would not like to accept. However, your peer group would want to compel you to do something which is against your own will. As a result, when you take a wrong decision by succumbing to peer pressure, you may land yourself in deep sorrow and feel remorseful about the whole situation. Given that it is properly harnessed, the same pressure can motivate individuals to stay focused and work hard towards achieving their goals. Positive effects of peer pressure on teenagers are also evident by the example of a student who is motivated to get good grades because his friends are getting good grades. An action that can be attributed to positive peer pressure.
Lock.
An example of the negative effect of peer pressure is the presidential crisis in Venezuela, where the candidates try to imitate one another in the process of giving out freebies. This not only ruins the country's economy, but also reduces the uniqueness of the particular candidate. Most peer pressure is less easy to define. Sometimes a group can make subtle signals without saying anything at all. More often than not, the stress in one's life can actually come from their peers. They may pressure you into doing something that you're uncomfortable with, such as shoplifting or taking dangerous risks when driving a car. And not everyone can cope with peer pressure.
Tackle.
An example of the positive effect of peer pressure can be seen during the elections of a country. During these elections, the candidates strive to provide better facilities for people of the said country. They observe each other's efforts and try hard to do better. This.
Thank you, Rima. Your time's up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rima, for that presentation. That was interesting, intelligent, and well thought out with contemporary examples. Now, moving on to the next candidate, Prateek M from Padma Seshadri Balabhavan Senior Secondary School, KK Nagar. Your topic was beauty pageants should be banned.
Hi Prateek, let's start with block.
Block, mom.
Yes, block.
We should not ban beauty pageants as they provide a platform for women to gain attention and build careers. It helps improve self-esteem and confidence. It makes them work harder to keep them fit and healthy. It has enormous awards and many women can use this as an opportunity to get money to continue their studies or other constructive purposes. In the process, they also entertain people. The organizers make some money without harming anyone and encouraging women to look after their bodies. Tackle, mom. Okay, mom. Beauty pageants are definitely not harmless, but rather a major social evil and definitely need to be banned. It does not help one's self-esteem. It merely reduces it by providing an ideal standard of beauty. There is no one most beautiful person. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. It is not the outer beauty that matters, but rather inner beauty. How kind and generous you are matters far more than how good your smile looks. The high lucrative rewards may devastate the careers of young women as they might get carried away with trying to be more beautiful and not focus on skill development or studies. The organizers block. There are no ideal standards of beauty in beauty pageants. Many women who do not fit the ideal stereotype have won. Women who are considered dark-skinned have won. And dark-skinned women most certainly do not fit the ideal stereotype. Moreover, the criteria is also evolving to reflect inner beauty. For example, community work is also taken into account in many beauty pageants. There are a few. Banning beauty pageants will help put to an end to a major social evil and will also help to shatter stereotypes. Beauty pageants are often sponsored by cosmetic companies or companies providing plastic surgery. There are a few students who get carried away by lucrative rewards, but that doesn't represent a majority of the population. Many to most young women focus on their studies and or skill development and have beauty pageants as a hobby and only use it for assisting their careers as said before. As for the sponsors, the industry has changed. We no longer have racial names or products. A good example would be the company Glow and Lovely. They once had a racially discriminating name, but now have changed their name itself to reflect their products better. This goes to show that the industry is evolving. Some people may not like them or feel uncomfortable, and that superficially things have changed, but underneath the hood, we still see the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for those arguments that touched upon interesting sides of the topic at hand. Now moving on to the next candidate, Siddharth Kumar Gopal from St. Thomas Residential School, Thiruvananthapuram. Your topic was artificial intelligence is more dangerous than useful.
Hi Siddharth, you can start with block.
Terminator is one of the most thought-provoking movies made in the 90s about humans versus machines. It was science fiction then. Today, it is reality. Artificial intelligence to some is the greatest threat to humanity. But for others, it is the messiah, an answer to all problems of humanity. The benefits of AI far outweigh the risks, and so AI is definitely useful for humanity. Whether it is accurately diagnosing a disease or suggesting the best course for treatment, AI. But there is no doubt that AI is more dangerous than useful. Did you know that Facebook's AI algorithm asked viewers who watched videos featuring black men whether they wanted to keep seeing more videos about primates? Or that Google's image recognition software classified photos of black people as gorillas? And these incidents are just the tip of the iceberg. AI is dangerous in that it even threatens basic human rights. AI has enabled spy software such as Pegasus. We have made weather predictions more accurate, thus improving agriculture productivity and guiding fishermen on when and where to fish. We have improved industrial production with robots working 24/7 on mundane repetitive tasks, thus freeing our time for more creative pursuits. AI has helped create robots that can be used in dangerous situations such as mining or cleaning of bacteria and holes. The UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights has recently published a report that highlights how AI negatively impacts human rights, including the rights to health, education, freedom of movement, freedom of peaceful assembly and association, and freedom of expression. The threats posed by AI are not in an imaginary future, but in the present reality. Supporters of AI often say that until we reach singularity, the point in time when technology's intelligence exceeds human intelligence, we have nothing to worry. But this is not true. AI is controlling more and more areas of our lives without even us knowing it. We are still decades away from singularity and super intelligence, and we may even never reach there. And even if we do, there can be many advantages to humanity. Do you know that once AI reaches the level of super intelligence, it will be able to solve every problem of humanity? Take global warming. AI could halt carbon dioxide emissions by coming up with much better ways. But as we reach artificial general intelligence, when AI algorithms can understand anything like humans can, then we would have definitely reached a steep, slippery slope, where we no longer have to worry about will AI take over my job, but rather about will AI let me exist? It can also be. Ma'am?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. That was a forward-looking perspective on the topic at hand, with the repercussions and the cause and effect that it elicited. Now moving on to the next candidate, Vedant Santosh Shinde from Presidency School, RT Nagar, Bangalore Urban. Your topic was, only educated citizens should be given voting rights.
Hi Vedant, you can start with tackle.
Tackle. So when we allow only educated citizens to vote, aren't we boosting the democracy? Aren't we giving a better pool to select from? For example, allowing non-informed, uneducated citizens from voting, we are ultimately spoiling democracy by choosing the wrong candidates. By choosing the wrong candidates, blocking. Democracy is a basic right that every human being deserves. If you look at the Constitution, the democracy is by the people, for the people, and to the people. So, any creature that can be considered as a human being has this basic right. Taking it away no longer qualifies them for human beings. Similarly, we can see that the Constitution provides this in order to ensure equality. By taking away the right to vote, we are spoiling equality as well. Also, if we see that education is not necessarily an index of intelligence or integrity or even honesty, we see that India has 83% of educated but non-employed bachelors. The reason is because these people are not up to the mark in finding jobs. Such people are equivalent tackling. Any person who is educated wants betterment for the country. So therefore, they have long-term thinking. They are able to select politicians knowing their backgrounds, and they also permit newer politicians who have no political background to enter. Also, they are able to see the activities and they are able to draw their own conclusions. They are also aware of the various fake messages doing rounds on social media and can differentiate well. We can also see that in for leaders to get votes, they will also be educating people so that these people will be eligible to vote. Therefore, we see that politicians will be boosting the literacy rate in various places. Sophistication of educated people also enables them to think well. They are able to choose the right candidates and therefore they are important in deciding the road for the development of the country. Ma'am, I was tackling.
Oh, I had blocked earlier. So you can continue with the tackle then.
Okay, very well. So, if we look at ourselves, we know which candidate is doing what. We watch the news very often. We are able to segregate which news is well formed and which news is solely for TRP or advertising, but not blocking. Any person who is actually observant will be able to see that what is truly beneficial for the country and what is not, wouldn't they? If you ask any non-educated person whether they are able to see problems in the world, they will be. They are also aware of candidates as they all have mobile phones and access to the world. If you see, now we think that non-educated people may take bribes or gifts from politicians to vote.
Your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vedant. That was a sophisticated and nuanced understanding of the topic. Now moving on to our final candidate for the senior round, Anisha Pai from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban. Your topic was expedited vaccination against new diseases like COVID-19 can prove dangerous and should be avoided.
Hi Anisha. Let's start with tackle.
While many people feel that expedited vaccination is the key to the elimination of various diseases like COVID-19, one must take into account the possible adverse effects this could have. If vaccination is expedited, pharma companies will inevitably have to accelerate all processes related to vaccine creation, testing, and trials. In the limited time frame, extensive vaccine trials would not be possible. Exhaustive research on possible long-term effects of the vaccine on the human body would be sacrificed. When adequate time is given for trials, the vaccines are tested in all target groups multiple times. The situation in India looks grim. The pandemic, which many people thought had subsided, has yet again reared its head with all its fury and might. As cases and deaths start to spike, people have realized the importance of vaccination. In this extreme situation, expedited vaccination is the need of the hour. One need only travel back a decade or so to the near pandemic caused by the H1N1 virus, the swine flu epidemic. This epidemic led to the deaths of tens of thousands of people worldwide. Many experts attribute the large number of deaths to insufficient vaccination rates. Had vaccines been given more timely on a larger scale, when vaccine trials are held, they are, in the absence of thorough vaccine trials, a huge risk is posed to the recipients of the vaccine. If the vaccine triggers an adverse response in a particular set of people, resulting in death or any harmful side effects, this could be disastrous. Reports of such deaths would lead to skepticism and fear over the overall efficacy of the vaccine itself. People would hesitate to take the vaccine as a consequence. Hence, the main purpose of expedited vaccination. One major lesson that we can extrapolate from this swine flu epidemic scare is vaccinate quickly, save more. If vaccines are given at an accelerated rate, more people will be immune to the virus. And if enough people are vaccinated, those who choose to remain unvaccinated will also be protected because of herd immunity. The second argument in favor of expedited vaccination is the positive impact this will have on the economy. The pandemic forced the world economy to a standstill. Many businesses, both large and small, were forced to shut down due to lack of demand for the goods they produced. Industries like the hospitality and travel industries faced massive losses. They literally had no customers for the better part of 2020. Employees in various sectors were laid off in huge numbers due to the inability of companies to pay salaries. Daily wage workers had to take impossible measures just to keep their families alive. If vaccinations are expedited, employees' interests will be protected and industries and businesses can once again start operating at their full strength. If operations are if expedited vaccination is carried out, medical professionals and administrators will be put under great pressure if vaccine supply does not suffice. The desperation would.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anisha. That was an interesting and understanding perspective on a very immediate issue, and it was quite spectacular. Thus, we come to the end of the finale of Communication Skills category, Senior Level Competition, brought to you by TCS iON in partnership with STEP from the Hindu Group. We look forward to seeing all of you again for the award ceremony, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you, everyone.